Mark in Connecticut. Hey, how you doing, Mark? How's it going?
Mark?
Hey, how's it going this morning, guys?
It's going great.
I think that there is a solution for Mac Jones. I think it's I've been saying it for a while now, and now all the speculation has finally come out about Billy O'Brien returning to New England. I think that is a saving grace if that does happen, because I think that he can really change things around, and I really hope that Bill does it. We'll see what happens. But I heard Robert Kraft has a big announcement in the next couple of weeks, and I wonder if it's getting some changes going on in there. What do you guys think?
All right, thanks for the call, Mark.
I would be shocked if the announcement is getting big changes. I didn't even hear much about a big announcement. He might address something and whatever.
That could be anything.
Listen, Bill O'Brien, I think this is an interesting thing. We can get more into this later. The Bill O'Brien speculation that Tommy Kern brought to the table yesterday is very interesting to me, okay, because it says a couple things. Number one, it says Bill Belichick's still going to stick around, which we didn't think wasn't going to happen. But that's number one. Number two, it tells me, again, I'm just speculating, but it says that they're still in on Mac Jones. And the other thing it does, I don't know if this is a little strong, but does it validate at all some of these strong emotional displays, the demonstrative outburst by Mac Jones on the sidelines? Because here we are, playoffs still a possibility, and you are trying to basically replace the offensive coordinator right now. Mac has been pissed. It's no secret he hasn't been happy with the coaching staff and the play calling specifically in some instances. Now we're talking about Bill O'Brien before the season's even over, coming back here. I think that validates a little bit of Mac Jones' frustration, and that's Bill Belichick saying, I screwed it up. That's on me.
The fact that a week or so ago when Bill Belichick says, well, there's nothing we can do now, right? He basically said that. That's him saying, we needed to do something, but there's nothing we can do now. And I agree with you. I hate to do it, but I agree with you that I do think that if you get the offense coordinator, you get the right guy in, first of all, tell me this. Is Mac Jones going to snap back at Bill O'Brien? No, he's not. He feels justified. He feels vindicated. He feels empowered to do it in this case because there's just a complete and utter lack of production from the offensive coordinator spot. And so Bill O'Brien makes all the sense in the world. As you said, Tommy Curran was on his show. Was it last night?
Fitzy and Hart, the midday show.
Okay, yeah. So he was on saying that, it seems like it's trending that way. And I said this, going back to 2011, this wouldn't be unprecedented. If they do win the biggest game of all time against the Dolphins this weekend, and you do find yourself in the playoffs, Bill O'Brien could absolutely be in the box, absolutely be somewhere in Gillette Stadium. This has happened. Josh McDaniels did it when he came back, when he was basically hired as an observer or whatever it was, during the playoff run back then. That's what it happens. I don't think anyone should be surprised if it does happen. So, yes, when they look at Bill O'Brien and the offensive coordinator, they're looking at it, which is easier to fix, finding a new quarterback or finding a new offensive coordinator. It's that simple, isn't it?
And we've been trying to find the answer to, like I brought up before, this malaise, this regression, who's more at fault. What Tommy Curran brought to the table says to me that's Bill Belichick acknowledging that it's more about the coach than the quarterback. We don't know yet.
With Patriots teams, even up until last year, with Patriots teams, don't worry about all their flaws. So by the time you get end of December, certainly by the end of December, you got to figure it out. The only year that I remember in recent memory of this not happening was the Steven Jackson year. For some reason, you're running Steven Jackson into the line in Miami over and over and over and over again, and that didn't feel like you were trending in the right direction, certainly. But usually it's always the case. But now we're landing here off of these awful losses. Not only the awful losses, but all of this discomfort when it comes to the quarterback. I've been saying all morning, you never feel like Mac Jones is going to have a game-winning drive. You never feel like Matt Patricia is going to be able to dial up the right. This is another Matt Patricia dialing up the right play in the red zone. In the red zone. You got to the end of that game, and everyone's getting excited. Here they go. They're going in. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, when's the last time I saw them run the correct play in the red zone that's going to result in a good result? And sure enough, you run Stevenson into the line a couple times and he fumbles.
Well, they're abysmal in the red zone. I mean, at least there you could say arguably they gave the ball to their best offensive player. but that's the Patriots in 2022. They're going to find a way to screw it up.
So they gave the ball to the best offensive player, but they shied away from giving the ball to the most important offensive player. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'll come back to it. Where, how did we get here? You talk about Kendrick Bourne. I remember when camp started, tell me if I'm wrong, the perception with Kendrick Bourne was he had a good year this last year, but wait till you see this year. And then all of a sudden he's not playing.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, that's what did he do? He got into a little fight at practice, or he said something to Matt, looked at Matt Patricia the wrong way, and he, got oversensitive about it. That's one of the things that concerns me about this year with Patricia. Like, is that why Bourne hasn't played all year? Because he's got a tiff with the coordinator?
Yeah, and that's just one of a million things, it seems, where the narrative was something back in June, back in July. Go back to the offense. I said this the other day, where, remember, this offense, which is getting lambasted now, you had that offense. Oh, no, you don't understand. They're going to simplify it because it needs to be simplified. Well, they sure simplified it.
Yeah.
But remember, that was a thing. That was like, this is going to be better because it's going to be simpler.
So I'll tell you what's even more disappointing. And if I could, I'm going to refer to Tommy Kern's article on NBC Sports Boston, okay? Because a lot of things have gone well this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I
positives.
like optimism.
There's a lot of positives, okay? And we're going to just list a couple that Tom lists in the article. He's talking about Cole Strange. Not the greatest pick, but he hasn't been an absolute bust. He's been up and down. It's all right. He could be a guy that is a hit ultimately. Tyquan Thornton. There's some promise there. Huge drop the other day, but not an absolute bust yet. The Jones brothers, Marcus Jones, huge hit to this point. Jack Jones looks like he's a ball hawk. That's kind of what he's publicized. But not even that. Listen, there's more. Matt Judon, okay, did not have the fall off that he had, the drop off at the end of last year. He has stayed pretty consistent this year. Josh Uche has sort of exploded, might be too strong.
The most sacks of any combo, two guys of any team.
He's emerged. Kyle Duggar approaching a Pro Bowl level, as Tom Curran says in the article. Ramondre Stevenson, despite the bad plays the last few weeks, exploded onto the scene this year. He's been one of the best. He's like the most expensive running back in daily fantasy. And Jacoby Myers has solidified that he's one of the guys that you'd absolutely
Man, they are
take on
going
your
to the
team.
Super Bowl.
So it's just like a lot of good things happened. They made some draft picks that panned out, some guys that they had really popped, new guys. And why does it feel so much worse?
I can tell you why.
Why?
Because the most important position in all of professional sports is not good.
Correct. It regressed. That's why. Bourne regressed. Henry regressed, and most importantly, Mac Jones regressed. Despite all of those other things that went well, the most important thing, you screwed it up, and now it's probably too late to fix it.
And that's
it is too late. To fix it.
Well, and that's the problem. Is that you screw? And we talked about this before, where So what was their plan? What was their plan? I talked about Kendrick Bourne. Okay, the plan. Everyone thought he was going to be a star, a breakout star this year. A lot of people did. That doesn't work out. A lot of people thought, oh, Matt Patricia, he's going to simplify the offense. He's going to figure out, well, that was a disaster. What was the plan? And I come back to, we talked about this the other day with Ken, where when the Rappaport report came out about Bill O'Brien, about how Bill O'Brien had it slotted, it had promised Nick Saban that he was going to stay for this year. He could fulfill the 2 years. And Bill Belichick clearly isn't going to swoop in and overpower his good buddy Nick Saban and say, I'm going to pay you $1 trillion to get this guy away. He was never going to do this. So was this the plan all along? Was this the plan all along where you said, well, a perfect holding placeholder was Matt Patricia. He'll be good enough, and then we could get to Bill O'Brien. Well, if that was the way to do it, that was a disaster, because what happened, as you point out, is that what happened in that placeholder year is that you made that guy, the most important guy, take a step back.
Correct. This is the year that any quarterback really, I don't want to say worth a damn, but a guy that's on his way to near the top or to the top, they explode in their second year.
This is the fork in the road year.
Mahomes, 50 touchdown pass, second year. Lamar Jackson, MVP, second year. Joe Burrow, second year to the Super Bowl. Those are the top. Even even guys that don't explode, Josh Allen, he didn't regress in his second year. He got better. He didn't explode, but he got better. To see a regression is so demoralizing and depressing from a Patriots fandom perspective. I can't even explain it. And then you factor in all the other crap surrounding it. It's disgusting.
It's fork in the road year for quarterbacks. Look at Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is done. Zach Wilson. Yeah. Zach Wilson. Sorry, I sort of like I morphed like five names into one.
Yeah, that's fine.
But Zach Wilson is done.
Yeah, he's done. He's done.
And you have Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, another example. You have these guys who show promise, but if you don't keep it going, you're done. And that's why, Mark, when we were talking leading into the last game, are they going to bench? Would they ever bench Mac Jones? I said, the moment you bench Mac Jones at any point in this year, whether the games mean anything or not, you're done.
Thank you, Bradford. That's what it means. These people calling for Zappy, I understand it. Christian was talking about it, Arcan, but I understand it. But what you have to understand is if you're going to do that, your commitment to Zappy is more than just that one game.
How do you come back?
It's over.
How do you come back next year? It makes no sense.
It's over.
It's science. You can't come back next year. You bench Mac Jones now, and you say, no. Oh, the guy that we benched, bench at the end of the year, he's the guy that you're going to have to trust us. He's the guy who's going to take the next step. And you can't. And nobody, I don't know anybody who should think that Bailey Zappi, God bless the Zappi family.
God bless them.
Good for Bailey Zappi for making the NFL. But he is not the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. He is not the starting quarterback of a team that is going to win a Super Bowl. And I know that people are like, oh, look at the guy at San Francisco. He's Mr. Irrelevant. Fine. Well, he's not the guy either, okay?
Nothing against Bailey Zappi. And maybe he turns into some stud. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying, are you ready and prepared to give up on all and any momentum that you created or generated with Mac Jones in year one?
It would be done.
It would be done. So if you're prepared to move on from any momentum that you got from Mac Jones, good for you. I'm not ready to do that, especially not for Bailey Zappi. Maybe he turns into something. Nothing against him. But I'm not ready to say, until we figure out what's going on, if it was the coordinator or the coach, I'm not prepared to move on.
You know what? It's a great lesson because when you make that move to pivot away from something, and no matter what sport it is, you better make sure it's right. And this was brought up on the broadcast at the end of the Celtics game, the Christmas Day broadcast the other day, where Doris Burke was saying, can you believe that people were suggesting that you should break up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? That's the dumbest thing of all time. Well, we sure didn't think it was dumb for a long time. But you know what? They were right. The Celtics were right not to do it. Because once you do that, once you go down that road, same thing with you going away from Mac Jones or what the Red Sox are doing, whatever. Once you go down that road, then you better make sure you're right. And the Celtics were right.